Give a little wrap up today. We got a lot of stuff done. So we'll start off in the restroom. You can see we got this wall with the wood up on it. And we left this open just because the plumber's still got to mess with some stuff here. So this one's pretty close to the stud. So we have to just shimmy that around a little bit. We left that until we can see what fittings he's got on there and he can access it easy enough. Getting back into the cleaner's room. We got to leave the wall exposed until we get the inspection done. They don't want any walls closed up. So even though we're not putting anything in that wall, we're just going to leave one side of each wall open until they're done all the electrical and plumbing inspections, all the rough-in. So I went through today and marked out where we're going to need plugs and stuff. We're going to have the air handler in here. They put a pump or a plug here just in case we need a condensate pump, because you know, if you get condensation inside your air handler, because we don't have a gravity drain here, we may need to pump it, so we can put a pump in there and pump it back around to our drain in the corner. So without that, we'd have to have, you know, just a drain tube all around the floor, and it might be a bit of a nightmare. So it's easier to put in there now. We're done. We got that boxed in. Got this wall covered on that side. That wall up there, we didn't do anything into it, so we left that paneling up there. Even though we boxed that one in, there's nothing in it. So hopefully we get it with that one. Now we get the front boxed in here for the ATM and the change machine. This is one wall we really put a lot of effort into, really stiff and dried up. You know, banged it a few times, shook it, made sure it was really nice and solid. You can see up here, see if we can brighten this up a little. See if it'll focus it all too. But we've got that beefed up. We've got lots of supports in here. We've got the supports underneath the shelf, as well as, you know, the cross members. Just tied this whole wall nice and solid. We're gonna put a plug up here above it. So we'll put a UPS. It's an uninterruptible power supply. Pretty much a surge suppressor and backup battery power. So if you get the power go out for a while, say if somebody just puts some money into a change machine, the power drops out, that'll keep the power on the change machine. It'll let it run through, you know, 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how big of a unit we put in. But it also protects your change machine from any power surges or anything. They're anywhere between 50 and 100 bucks, or 200, 300, depending on how much you want to spend. Mostly on something like this, I'll probably spend about 100 bucks. It's well worth it for the downtime and the headaches if you damage your machine. We got another plug up here where our security DVR is going to go. We'll put it up on a shelf up there, and then we'll probably end up mounting a TV or something right on the wall here, just above the ATM, where we can keep an eye on it. Put another plug on here. We're going to need the coin sorters, so we'll put a shelf back in here. It may stretch to the corner. We'll see just how it works. We'll put a bench in here with the coin sorter and the money counters and stuff on it. So we put a plug into there. Got this door frame back here. This will be into the back water heater room. So this stuff, the plumber has been here for a couple of days, which is really nothing for him to do right now. We're still building walls, moving stuff around. So he's got some other projects he's working on. And so the electrician, back to him. So we're working back through here. He's put the main panel on and run most of his conduit here. So right now it kind of just goes up and stops. It all depends on where he's going with it. So some he's already got brought right in. A couple of lighting circuits here, they're already brought in because they're already done up there. The other ones, he knows where he's going. He just brought it up from there. And then the two bigger ones, they're the ones that go around and they come down into this box here. This box is just so they can, gives them a spot to pull the wire through. And it goes down into the concrete. And as we know, it goes down through there, and then comes up over there into the bulkhead. So the bulkhead frames will be here tomorrow. We'll get them bolted in, and then he can work on those. He's actually got another project he's got to go to for a day or two, which, again, we're in pretty good shape here. Really need a chance to get the dryers and stuff in so they can line up those plugs and some other things that just really laying out where the TVs and things like that are going to go, so we get the plugs for that. So there's really not a lot more work for them to do. There's the main tie-in outside. They're still waiting for the power company final decision on that. This wall down here, it's all up there. There's a couple of gaps here. It's not a big deal because we're going to drywall over it, and our drywall is going to span over these gaps anyways. So this room back here, it's pretty much what it is. We got two more lights they got on order. We got to put them in. But aside from that, this is what this room's going to be, just an empty space. So it's probably going to start getting full of junk back in here. Got a few things I still got to scrape off the floor. You just can't see anything here, can you? Hang on, let me get back out here. There's a couple of things I got to scrape off, a couple of old lag bolts and stuff, but we just really wanted to see, you know, where the walls were and all that stuff first. So, working through a pile of parts. the bulkhead frames will be in tomorrow. Once they're in, we can take those drain troughs. We're going to sit them inside just so they're out of the way. And that's when things start getting inconvenient here, because we're going to have, you know, a bulkhead that goes 15 feet down here. Another one goes 15 feet down here. So now all of a sudden this big empty space starts getting filled up. But that's okay. Putting those in, it's going to be something we really got to take our time on and make sure we do it right. Because the washers are going to line up off of that. So if the bulkheads aren't straight, the washers aren't straight. So the measurements are going to come off of this wall here. And really what we've tried to do with most of this is line up the ceiling grid. Just because the visual of it, that's something you're going to see. So this wall may not be 100% straight to the block wall, but nobody's going to see that gap in there, but they will see the gap up here. So we kept this straight to the ceiling grid, kept that straight to the ceiling grid. I don't even think it's off. I mean, it looked pretty consistent. It was done back when they used to really pay attention to things. So we'll measure off the face of this wall in a few spots, transfer that out to here, and then get our first bulkhead lined up, and then measure it the second one from there, double check it back to the wall, triple check it, check the check, have somebody check to make sure the check marks are checked before we finish checking it. But again, we want them bolted in and right where they're going to be, because the washers are going to center off of those. So they'll be here tomorrow and we'll work on that. But first thing tomorrow is to get some drywall up. We have 12-foot drywall. We first started putting this up, our walls are 10'6" to the ceiling grid. So we're figuring on 10-foot drywall, but they only had 8s and 12s. So we'll go with 12. We may have a little bit extra waste, but it's going to be way easier. So what we can do is we can cut these right at 10'6", and we're going to stand them up. So we'll start in this corner. We're going to stand them up. We'll fill in a few pieces there, and then they're going to just stand up. It won't take much time at all to put them up there. And we could start at this corner. If we did, what we need to do is actually cut a half piece so that we're not going to end up at the 4-foot marks where this wood overlaps, and we don't want to go this way just because then we got to lift drywall up over our heads. No point in doing that. So this one, we're going to overlap right to here, just so that'll be all nice and finished. So we brought this wall out flush to that. When this is done, there's still going to be a piece of melamine go on here that'll cover this hole so the kids can't climb back in here. But so our first piece will go on there, and then we put the second piece in. And again, what you do with this is just put a full piece in and cut it out like I did with the walls here today. So that wall there, you'll be able to see it on the time-lapse footage. But we covered that hole with the wood and then cut it out from the inside where the frames are. So instead of trying to cut around them, that's the way it's done. It's a lot easier. So we'll do the same thing here. Put the first piece of drywall up, get the second one up, cut a couple of short pieces to go in there, and then put another full piece down, and then keep an eye on to make sure we're not going to line up with these ones. But the nice thing about this, we got wood everywhere, so we don't have to worry about trying to line up with the studs behind it. It just doesn't matter. Just go into the wood. So this wall should go up pretty quick. That wall will go up pretty quick, and then the stuff that is going to be a bit of a pain, which actually need a little bit to do because we're not doing any of those rooms there. It's only the restroom, and we can't do the restroom yet because we're not ready. So those will go up pretty quick, and then we'll figure out what drywall we need. The other thing we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to pre-cut a lot of the wood for this. So we can't cover it up yet, but we can have all the wood pre-cut and put into place. Same with the hole for there, the piece we need on here, and you know, whatever extra we need. We'll cover this wall here. I'm going to insulate and cover that wall. Just deadens a lot of the sound in the bathroom and makes it nicer. So, so like I said, we'll get all that wood pre-cut just so we know how much we've used, and we've got it all spaced out in the different rooms and labeled, and then we know how much extra we have. We can pile in the back for now. We will need the ones for on top of the dryer, but we just, you know, we can estimate how much we need, but we can't do much with that. The drywall, I kind of took a guess of what we can need, so if we got too much, you know, again, we can put it back in the back room there or the way, or just lean up against that wall because there'll be nothing going on there for a while. So that's where we're at. Did a little cleanup today. Tomorrow will be another big cleanup. We'll get all this stuff tidied up. We still got a few things got to throw out of the way in that, but we'll get it opened up, cleaned up, get the bulkheads into place, and move on to the next stage. Any comments or questions? Well, let me know.